Welcome back to Thrive, your go-to channel for transforming health, revolutionizing indoor air quality, and visionary environments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below to let us know your thoughts. Here's Brock Manville speaking on indoor air quality in 2024, notes from the National Gallery of Art.
So, yes, I'm the energy manager at the National Gallery of Art. We are uh, right in the throbbing heart of Imperial, Washington, D.C., the first stop down the hill from the Capitol building, and about 8 blocks from the White House. So we're right in the heart of this beautiful city. And let me start by just as we started with the land acknowledgement for the forum, this is where I'd like to start in introducing the organization, the National Gallery, to you all. This is our mission and our vision statement. And I like it. I think it's a pretty good one. This is why, at least this is what we believe we exist to do. This is our purpose. And I would highlight in the vision statement at the bottom the idea of people, because I think that's pivotal to what we're all talking about. The air quality is a concern of human beings, people, and we exist to share experiences with those people. And we do that in a lot of different ways. We are frequently people ask if we are part of the Smithsonian Institution. Not really. We were actually created with reference to the Smithsonian, but from the beginning, we have had our own board of trustees and so are therefore a distinct separate organization. We're open every day from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., except for Christmas and New Year's. And we do sometimes do things at night. We are the hottest party in town these days. We have a program called National Gallery Nights, where we have DJs and cocktails and dancing. And we've had to put that on a lottery because we have so many people that want to come. If you can get a ticket, it's a gas. I recommend it highly. We're about 1.2 million square feet. That's conditioned space. It's a little bit more that is semi-conditioned, heated attic space and parking garages and so on. We two big buildings. The west building is the original 1940. The east building, modern design by I.M. Pei. And most recently, we've opened a sculpture garden with a beautiful display fountain that transforms in the winter to an ice rink. And this ice rink is on a lot of top 10 lists globally. It's pretty sweet. We are staffed around the clock, so there is no time at which our building does not need to consider air quality in the context of people actually being inside. We see about 4 million people a year. This is more than the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City, and about the same volume of visitors as the Pittsburgh International Airport. We get a lot of people, and a lot of those people come from outside the U.S. So we are a nexus for travel. People come to see us and bump into each other on Saturdays, literally. Lydia mentioned the air washers. This is how we condition our interior space. This is the design that Willis Carrier came up with in 1904. Fairly well-known story in engineering circles. The problem was controlling the interior space for temperature and humidity in a printing plant in Brooklyn, New York. And the apparatus shown in this drawing, made in September of 1904, is exactly what we have in our buildings. We got about 40 of them. We just bought two brand new ones, very large ones. Um, and we do this because even though these are energy intensive, you have pumps to move the chilled water around that are not required in other more modern types of air handler designs. But these systems are um, unmatched for humidity control. By controlling the discharge dew point of the air moving through this cloud of chilled water precisely, you can control the relative humidity in the end space. You will, not shown on this picture is are the reheat coils. This air chilled to a very specific temperature will be reheated at the end to a desired temperature. Um, we're probably going to get rid of them. This has been a very and remains a very traumatic experience for the staff of our institution, the conservators, the curators, even some of our architects love these things for good reason. They really do work, but they are energy intensive, and it is difficult for people working in an environment like an art museum to really absorb the urgency of the need to change our physical infrastructure to address our carbon impact, and therefore to be ethical and helpful in the battle against carbon and against climate change. This is just people are people love who they love. And in this case, people love what they love. And this is something that is continues to be an emotional experience for many colleagues, because we have had these things for so long, because we have believed in them. And as the other institutions got rid of them, we have seen ourselves as sort of special and having this um, peculiar and distinctive equipment. And for many years, figuring out how to operate those air washers efficiently was all the energy management team and my colleagues. I work as the energy manager in the operations group. Um, we look after the building mechanical systems, electricity, plumbing, the air conditioning, refrigeration, and heating systems. This is the team that I am embedded with, and I don't carry tools anymore, but I did for a long time, and firmly believe that an energy management program really needs to be uh, physically co-located with the team that carries the wrenches and turns the knobs and operates the building. And for a long time, this is our record of success in reducing the energy, and so therefore, at least during this time, the carbon impact. The future of energy as being more or less directly parallel with carbon is going to change based on Soil's good points, where the nature of our energy sources, where it comes from, how it moves around, is going to change that, and fossil fuels will go down. But in the context of this information here, this trend, this same drop in energy produced a similar, almost parallel drop in our carbon emissions, at least our scope 1 and 2 carbon emissions. And then the zombies came. Then COVID-19 hit us. Um, and we didn't know what to do. This is, I think, maybe the most important question, important fact I can share is that we knew that we had to act, but it was not at all clear at the time. It's still not as clear as I hope it will be in the future. What steps should be taken in the event of a significant airborne contagious infection risk, and what do we do and when do we do it, are questions we still wish we had clear answers on. What we did is we doubled our outdoor air ventilation rate from and ran that ventilation all night long, even when the building was unoccupied no longer open to the public from 5 p.m. to 10 a.m. We left the outdoor air dampers um, open and drew in twice our calculated outdoor air requirement for years, and it messed up our energy game. You can see that this first year it was a bigger impact, and that's because we didn't close right away, and then we opened again, and then we closed again, and then for most of 2021 we were closed. We just and when we reopened, the building was throttled in terms of who on staff could come in, when they could come in, and very much throttled in terms of audience. We were ticketing, which is unusual for the museums in the District of Columbia here in the U.S. But we really throttled the number of people that could come in, and that counterbalanced the energy impact of additional ventilation. And then as time went on and we got a grip on the the pandemic, and actually the pandemic evolved itself out of being the threat that it was, um, we're still using that high ventilation rate that we started with. And part of the problem with changing it is once it's in place, to implement more sensible approaches becomes an issue where non-technical people have to make technical decisions. So in order for us to reduce from that doubled required ventilation rate, involves explaining why that's a safe choice for us to make. And that's not easy. Um, and you can see here that it's not quite $1 million, but I round it to $1 million for impact. It's a lot of money that this additional ventilation cost us. There's the argument for the finance team, but it's also a lot of carbon, and that is something we try to avoid when we can. So that's what happened to our energy program as a result of the impact of COVID. And then last summer, um, we had here on the East Coast, the Mid Atlantic, and up through the Northeast. Um, there was a week when the sky turned orange and it smelled like smoke, and we had unimaginably bad air quality, PM 2.5 pollution from enormous Canadian wildfires, which were the result of changing drier weather patterns that are very much a product of climate change. And this was scary. We closed the building one day. We had absolutely no idea how to manage this safely. My understanding is that this is a problem that folks in Australia know a lot about, but we had not had this experience, and we remain puzzled about how to move forward on this. We don't have a way to measure the impact inside the building. We do have access. This graphic comes from a EPA run website that we now reference regularly. We would prefer to have some sort of data connection to our building system, and we're going to work in that direction. But there's nothing automatic about how we manage this kind of threat. And for art museums in particular, PM 2.5 contamination is recognized as a very significant challenge to conservation of collections, especially collections like ours with a lot of painted surfaces, old paint and soot. Get along too well, I think, is really the problem. And the contamination gets embedded in the surfaces of the works, and that becomes a risk because there's only so many times you can scrub those things. Here is my attempt to use the AI generated images, because this is a combination of the two threats, infection and external pollution, and we expect that both of these threats will return. The papers tell us that climate change is likely to and other human trends, urbanization, likely to increase the frequency and possibly even the intensity of infectious disease pandemic, and fires are going to keep going. And we are asking for help. We're gonna do what we can about creating sensor arrays. We do know how to manage. We think we know how to manage CO2, but we are asking for your help. We need your advice about how to manage the building effectively. And I think I'm at time, aren't I?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I've got a more specific list of questions, but I think the questions at the top of the forum are really the right questions. We're just here. I'm here mostly to tell you all that this is real world, real time challenge for my colleagues, and we look forward to working with you, to paying close attention to you on how to manage these things and how to do better. But we do need as much help as we can get, perhaps more than anything, in how to simply explain the issues, the risks, and the way forward to our leadership, non-technical people. And I'll close with this. This is my generic response to how to solve a problem. And I commend this to anybody who is working on figuring something out. And thanks.
Thank you very much, Brock. This is amazing. That there are many things which you said, and I could elaborate on this well. How to present this to our leadership? That's the key question. How to present it to our leadership and make our leadership to act. That's one. Now, in terms of buildings, you mentioned that in Australia we know how to deal with the issue of bushfires. Well, this is a very vivid memory for me of bushfires of 2019, summer 2019, 2020. And many journalists and interviews then what to do about buildings, how to protect people. And then my advice in the interviews was close up buildings, recirculate, and so on to protect people. And that was still not enough, but to do it. And interestingly, then 2 months later, the same journalist asked me what to do. Pandemic is upon us. What are we going to do? And the advice was completely 100% opposite. Open up the building, open up whatever you can, don't recirculate, and so on. And most of our buildings, or many of our buildings, cannot do this, both things. So there are a lot of things you mentioned about these washers. That's amazing devices. I just couldn't get over seeing these devices. But maybe if you wait a little bit, based on what Sohail said, that energy will be free, maybe you could still operate the washers. Now, you mentioned the number of questions. I hope you can stay a little bit longer. I, of course, understand that it's getting late in New York, but if you can stay a little bit longer and be part of the discussion will be great.